If the International Phonetic Alphabet has symbols and sounds you haven't mastered yet, it's time for IPA and IPAs with Molly.
Hi everybody, welcome to IPA and IPAs, an unfussy show about the International Phonetic Alphabet and beer. I'm Molly from Molly Does Dialects, and this is my first video in my Teaching IPA series. So first things first, what am I drinking? Today, I'm going to be drinking a Local Buzz, which is a honey rye golden ale from the Four Corners Brewery in Dallas, Texas. It's one of my personal favorites. And I can already hear the question, isn't this a show about IPA, as in India Pale Ale? I don't actually like IPAs at all. They're too bitter for me. So this might be a show also about me learning to like IPAs, but for now, I'm gonna drink the beer I like. Cheers, everybody. Tell me what you're drinking in the comments below. So, on to IPA. Today we are starting with plosives. Plosives are a kind of consonant, and we're starting with the consonants honestly because I think they're easiest. So, a plosive is made when you're using your air and some part of your mouth, so your lips, your teeth, your palate, stop that air, and then it gets released in an aspiration or an explosion. Get it? Plosive, explosion of air. That's all it is. So air that gets stopped and then gets released. But how it gets stopped changes the sound it makes. So there are 4 types of plosives, and the very first one is, it's hard to write here, bilabial. Bilabial means 2, bilabial, lips, 2 lips. So those 2 sounds are p and b. They sound a lot like the letters P and B. So p and b are both bilabial plosives. And I want to take a quick minute to talk about these 2 sounds. They're both bilabial plosives, but one is voiced, b, and one is voiceless, p. So what that makes them is cognate pairs, which basically means they're made in the exact same way, but one is voiced and one is voiceless. So p and b are bilabial plosives. They are also cognate pairs, p being voiceless and b being voiced. And there you have it. You have already learned 2 pieces of the International Phonetic Alphabet. Look at you go. It is not stressful, I promise. Okay, so next we have alveolar plosives. And alveolar refers to the alveolar ridge. So if you take your tongue and you run it up the back of your teeth, there's kind of a bumpy area behind your top teeth. That's your alveolar ridge. So what sounds are made on your alveolar ridge? T and D. So basically T and D. It's the tip of your tongue against your alveolar ridge, and it makes the sounds T and D. They look like a T and a D. Those are the phonetic symbols. And they are also a cognate pair. So you have your voiced D and your voiceless T. And there it is. So our next set of plosive cognate pairs are velar And velar means they're made on the velum, which is your soft palate. So these next two sounds are made when the back of your tongue meets your soft palate, and then it explodes the air. Plosive. So these sounds are k and g. K and G, basically. But these, we're not talking letters, we're talking phonetics. So we've got k and g. K, g. Velar plosives. And those are cognate pairs. So k is voiceless and g is voiced. So there you have it. You've got bilabial plosives, the cognate pair of p and b. You have alveolar plosives, the cognate pair of t and d. You have velar plosives, the cognate pair of k and g. And you have one more plosive. And this one you might not think of as a plosive. I know I don't usually, but this is a glottal plosive. Glottal. So you might be familiar with the term glottal stop. So if you could take a second and say, uh-oh, uh-oh. Do you feel that pause? That's a glottal stop. And it's made in your glottis, which is the opening between your vocal folds, just like the velar is made between your tongue and your velum, and the alveolar is made between your tongue and your alveolar ridge, and your bilabial is made between your lips. The glottis, glottal, is made between your vocal folds, and it makes that sound. And this is the one that doesn't look like a letter because there's not a letter that represents it, but there is a phonetic symbol that represents it. So that one looks, there's a line at the bottom, comes up, and it hooks at the top. It almost looks like a question mark, right? You've got this. So there you have it. You have now learned all of the plosives in the International Phonetic Alphabet. So we have our bilabial plosives, p, b. We have our alveolar plosives, t, d. We have our velar plosives, k, g. And we have a glottal plosive. It's hard to do it out of context. Uh-oh. Glottal plosive. You have already learned part of the consonants of the International Phonetic Alphabet. I hope it wasn't stressful. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on IPA and IPAs. I hope you enjoyed learning about plosives. I certainly enjoyed talking about plosives. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or if you have a beer recommendation for me. I'm going to be making a lot of videos and I would love to have suggestions. I will try to get my hands on one of them to drink in a future episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your evening.
You can never fail with the fresh pale ale and Molly.
So, that's my train. My train is coming. I live by a train.